The first signal came at dawn, not with the gentle hum of distant stars nor with the quiet pulse of a lonely comet. It came as a hammer to the sky, a sharp, unmistakable message that every nation had feared but never truly believed would arrive. On the observation deck of the Earth's orbital station, Captain Alara Voss watched the signal's arrival with a mix of awe and dread. Her hair, the color of autumn leaves, framed a face that had seen decades of both triumph and grief. She had been trained for moments like this, yet nothing in the manuals had prepared her for the weight of hearing the galaxy's voice, clear and cold. You will surrender, or be destroyed. Below, cities stirred. Birds fled across crimson skies. Waves crashed against shores as if the earth herself had shivered at the sound. Humanity, for all its wars, its petty squabbles, its fragile sense of unity, was now facing an enemy that did not blink, did not hesitate, and did not negotiate. Ilara turned to her second-in-command, Commander Ryan Hale, a tall man with steel-gray eyes that seemed to pierce through the void itself. He was quiet, but in his silence lived a patience honed by years of watching humanity cling to hope against impossible odds. "What do we know?" she asked, her voice steady but tight with tension. Ryan's fingers tapped against the console. "The vessels, they are unlike anything catalogued, technology far beyond ours, and yet they communicate, intelligently, purposefully." Ilara's gaze returned to the view of Earth. Cities glittered like scattered jewels, unknowing of the shadow looming above. "They want us to surrender. But what happens if we don't?" Ryan's eyes darkened. "Then they destroy us. Completely. They don't negotiate with resistance. It's absolute." There was a pause, a silence heavy enough to crush hope. Yet in that silence, a spark ignited. Ilara took a deep breath and spoke, not just to Ryan, but to herself, to the Earth, to everyone listening across the globe. "If they think we will bow, they've misunderstood something fundamental. We are human. We endure. We fight, even if it costs everything." Below, in the streets, a broadcast echoed her words. The voice was hers, yet it carried a resonance that made millions of hearts skip. On a crowded square in Paris, a young girl held her father's hand and whispered, "We fight, because that's who we are." Across the Pacific, in the deserts of Australia, an old farmer stared at the horizon where the first scouts of the alien fleet shimmered like a storm on the edge of the world. He muttered to himself, "They haven't met us yet." Somewhere in the icy wastes of Antarctica, a research team, cut off from the rest of humanity, watched the sky and recorded the patterns of alien movement. One of them, Dr. Leora Chen, scribbled in her journal, "Their mathematics is elegant, terrifying, but we are more unpredictable. We feel, we choose, we endure." Ilara turned back to the console. "Prepare a message. The world needs to hear this." Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she typed, "Every letter a defiance, a testament to human resolve. You want war? Fine." The message, broadcast across every frequency, every channel, every device capable of carrying her words, reached the stars with a pulse of humanity's will. There was no threat in it, no surrender, only a declaration that the people of Earth were awake, aware, and ready. And in that declaration, there was a quiet promise. Humanity would not crumble. Humanity would not kneel. Humanity would remind the cosmos why it had endured storms, plagues, and wars that had shattered every civilization before it. Somewhere beyond the veil of space, the alien ships paused. Perhaps they did not understand the weight of defiance in a species that fought for every breath. Perhaps they underestimated the fire that burned in humans, a fire that could never be extinguished. But that was their first mistake. The Earth had spoken. And for the first time in centuries, humanity felt united. Not by fear, not by survival, but by the fierce, untamed courage that had carried it from caves to stars. This was only the beginning. The alien vessels hung in the black above Earth, like colossal mirrors reflecting a universe that did not belong to humanity. Their shapes were elegant, smooth, and terrifying, ships built not just for war but for inevitability. Yet they paused. They had received the message. You want war? Fine. In the war rooms beneath the mountains of Geneva, world leaders sat rigid, staring at screens that flickered with alien schematics, impossible geometries, and movement predictions. They had debated, they had negotiated, they had panicked, and now they listened to the voice of one human who had refused to surrender. Ilara stood at the center of it all, her hands resting on the holographic table, eyes scanning maps of orbital trajectories and strike zones. Every pulse on the screen made her stomach tighten. Every line of alien strategy made her pulse quicken. Ryan stepped forward, his face pale but resolute. Captain, their initial wave will strike in 3 hours. They're testing our defenses. Not a full assault yet, but they're measuring response, precision, adaptability. Ilara's jaw tightened. Then we fight smarter, not just with weapons but with strategy, with unpredictability. Below, humanity's first coordinated strike was being prepared. Pilots, soldiers, scientists, even civilians trained for moments of extreme crisis, all moved in a tense ballet of urgency and courage. Mara Quinn, a young fighter pilot from Canada, gripped the controls of her sleek intercept fighter. Her heart pounded as if it were the drumbeat of a war her species had never faced before. She glanced at her squadron, all women and men barely older than herself, yet their eyes reflected the same determination. Remember, she whispered into the comms, we're not just defending Earth, we're reminding them who we are. Across the Atlantic, a network of orbital cannons powered up. Nuclear warheads, electromagnetic pulses, laser arrays. They were archaic in comparison to alien technology. Yet humanity had always turned disadvantage into advantage. The first strike had to work. It had to work. The aliens came without warning. Their first missiles pierced the atmosphere, invisible until they glowed like falling stars against the night. Cities across the globe lit up in alarms, yet the world had trained for this, chaos controlled by human resolve. Ilara watched from orbit, gripping the console until her knuckles turned white. Deploy interceptors now. Mara's squadron darted toward the incoming fire like predatory birds. The alien missiles were faster, smarter, but human reflexes were unpredictable. Mara twisted her fighter in impossible angles, her wings slicing through the sky. One by one, she destroyed the alien ordnance, her squadron mirroring her precision. Yet for every missile destroyed, another came. The sky became a storm of fire and defiance. Humanity was fragile, yes, but it was brilliant, inventive, relentless. On the streets of New York, citizens had taken to the rooftops. Some prayed, some shouted in fear. Some simply watched, knowing their survival depended not on hope, but on the courage of people like Mara, Ilara, and Rian. Dr. Leora Chen, stationed in Antarctica, monitored alien energy signatures. Her fingers flew over the console, deciphering patterns in real time. They're not omniscient, she muttered. They calculate, but they cannot predict. Imagination. They cannot anticipate courage. That is our advantage. By the time the sun rose, the first wave of alien strikes had been repelled, not without cost. Hundreds of ships were lost, dozens of human lives sacrificed. Yet humanity had sent a message far louder than words. They will not yield. In the quiet moments after the battle, Ilara stood on the observation deck staring at the scars across the globe. Fires burned, yet lights flickered on. People emerged from shelters. Children clutched parents' hands. Humanity endured. Ryan approached her, voice low. They didn't expect this. They will recalibrate. And next time, they'll come faster, harder. Ilara turned to him, eyes burning. Then we fight again, and again, until they understand that humans are not something you conquer with weapons alone. We fight with everything we are, our minds, our hearts, our will. Across the oceans, across the deserts, across frozen wastelands, humanity whispered the same truth. Scientists, soldiers, mothers, fathers, children, every heartbeat became a drumbeat of resistance. every breath a defiance against a cosmos that underestimated them. Somewhere beyond the veil of stars, the alien commanders observed. Their sensors picked up the chaos, the ingenuity, the unpredictability of a species that refused submission. They paused, their cold logic unable to comprehend the wildfire of human spirit. And that, perhaps, was their first mistake. For humanity had only begun to show what it could do. The war had started, not just for survival, but for recognition, for dignity, for the assertion that no matter the technology, no matter the strength, the human heart was unconquerable, and Earth, battered but unbroken, whispered in unison across mountains, oceans, and cities. You want war? Fine. The night after the first strike, Earth did not sleep. Cities glowed with an uneasy vigilance. Streets were lined with patrols. Communications hummed with updates, warnings, instructions. And yet in the quiet corners of the world, a single unspoken truth bound humanity together. They had survived. Against the impossible, they had endured. Captain Alara Voss floated above the planet in orbit, her hands resting on the console as she watched the fires of human determination ignite below. She could see the fractures in the cities, the scars the first strike had left, but she could also see the courage that had risen from those scars. Rian, she said, her voice low, we've won the battle, not the war. They'll return, and next time they'll adapt. We need more than courage. We need strategy that surprises even them. Ryan nodded, his gray eyes reflecting both exhaustion and resolve. I've already begun coordinating with every scientist and engineer we can reach. If they think brute force will conquer us, they're about to find out just how creative humans can be. On the ground, Dr. Leora Chen worked feverishly with her team. Using alien energy readings gathered during the first strike, she devised devices capable of turning the alien weapons against them. Every calculation, every model, every test carried the weight of humanity's survival. This is more than science, she whispered, watching sparks fly from an improvised energy converter. It's instinct, hope, defiance. And maybe, just maybe, it will be enough. Thousands of miles away, in the mountains of South America, Lieutenant Marco Salvi trained a militia of civilians. Farmers, engineers, students, people who had never held weapons were now humanity's first line of resistance on Earth. He moved among them, teaching, encouraging, instilling the belief that their unpredictability could be their greatest weapon. You don't fight them the way they expect, Marco told them, voice firm but gentle. You fight them like humans fight, with creativity, with heart, with the will to survive. They may have numbers, technology, precision, but we have everything else. Even children became part of the effort. Across the globe, stories spread of youngsters dismantling alien drones with simple but ingenious traps, of parents sacrificing comfort and sleep to reinforce defenses, of communities improvising communication networks that confounded alien sensors. It was chaos, yes, but chaos that spoke of something the aliens could never fully understand: humanity's unpredictability. Alara convened a global council via hologram, connecting leaders from every nation who had survived the first strike. We can't just react, she said. We must act. And to act, we must become something greater than the sum of our fear. We must become a force they cannot calculate. From orbit, Ryan projected a holographic map of alien positions and predicted strike patterns. They will target our major cities first, he said, but we can turn that against them. We can create zones of unpredictability, lure them into traps, force them to overextend. Alara's eyes burned with determination. Then we do it. Every city, every community, every mind engaged. The aliens may be powerful, but they will never anticipate the human spark. That spark, they can't measure, they can't destroy, they can't contain. Meanwhile, humanity's spirit surged in quiet, invisible ways. In Japan, a young boy rigged a makeshift EMP with his father's help, watching the alien probe drones flicker and collapse. In Nigeria, communities repurposed old communication satellites to relay misinformation, confusing the enemy's calculations. In Russia, scientists launched a daring plan to redirect meteoric debris into alien flight paths. Each small act was a rebellion, each failure a lesson, each success a testament to human ingenuity. And in the heart of all this, Alara realized something profound. The aliens may have expected fear, surrender, submission, but they had never anticipated the unity that crisis could inspire. They had never accounted for the deep, stubborn courage of a species that had survived ice ages, plagues, and wars that should have ended them. "You see, Ryan," she said quietly, watching Earth shimmer below, "they don't know what humans are capable of. Not yet, but they will. And when they do, they will remember why we endure." Ryan smiled faintly, a rare warmth in his stoic face. "Then let's make sure they remember it well." The first seeds of resistance were planted, not in weapons, not in strategy, but in the human heart. Across every continent, humanity began to weave a tapestry of ingenuity, courage, and defiance. They prepared for the next strike, but they were no longer passive. They were creators of chaos, architects of unpredictability, bearers of a spirit no weapon could extinguish. Somewhere beyond the veil of stars, the alien observers recorded the unexpected. Their calculations faltered. Their strategies seemed inadequate. They had underestimated the simplest truth of all. Humans were not just survivors, they were innovators, fighters, dreamers, and the spark had been lit. A spark that would burn brighter than any weapon, faster than any missile, and fiercer than any logic. A spark that whispered across the void to every alien ship, "You want war? Fine." The world held its breath. For 3 long days, the alien fleet had lingered beyond the stratosphere, calculating, observing, weighing humanity's strength against their own. And for 3 long days, humans had prepared not just weapons but minds, hearts, and unshakable courage. Captain Alara Voss stood on the command deck of the orbital station, her eyes tracing the alien formations that shimmered like silver storms against the void. The first strike had been survival. The second would be defiance, and for humanity, defiance was never passive. Ryan Hale joined her, a tactical map glowing between them. "Our predictions are solid. They'll attempt to neutralize major population centers again. But we've rerouted defenses, created traps, and integrated civilian ingenuity into every zone. This is unprecedented coordination." Ilara's voice was steady, yet sharp with intensity. "Then it's time to show them that humans are not just reactive. We innovate, we improvise. We create chaos where they expect order." On the ground, preparations were equally relentless. In New York, Mara Quinn adjusted her fighter squadron formations, briefing pilots on new maneuvers derived from the aliens' patterns. They had studied every movement, every response, every pause. The humans had learned that strategy was not just about force, it was about anticipation, unpredictability, and spirit. "Remember," Mara said, her voice firm but passionate, "we are the storm they did not calculate. Every move, every decision, every heartbeat matters. Do not fear them. They have technology, but we have everything else." Across the Pacific, Dr. Leora Chen oversaw the deployment of modified energy converters, devices meant to intercept alien weapon systems and redirect them back at the fleet. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear but from the gravity of knowing that every calculation, every spark, could mean life or death for millions. And then, just before dawn, the sky tore open. Alien ships surged forward, vast and gleaming, their movements precise and terrifying. The first volley struck, but humanity responded not as scattered survivors but as a united force. Lasers met energy shields. Missiles collided mid-air with devices rerouted by human ingenuity. Drones fell into traps, drones fired back against their own command signals. In the chaos, the humans moved with a rhythm that defied alien prediction. A rhythm born of creativity, courage, and the fierce instinct to survive. Ilara watched the battlefield from orbit. Every city flickered with explosions and alarms, but within that chaos patterns emerged, human patterns. Communities had improvised defenses. Pilots like Mara maneuvered with breathtaking audacity. Civilians, guided by ingenuity and instinct, executed plans that no alien algorithm could anticipate. Ryan leaned over her shoulder. "They didn't see this coming. Their strike is faltering. Every attempt to isolate a sector is collapsing." Alara's eyes narrowed. "Good. Let's make it count." On the ground, Lieutenant Marco Salvi led a unit of volunteers through abandoned urban corridors. They planted sensors, activated decoys, rerouted alien probes into collapsing tunnels. Every act was dangerous, yet every act carried the weight of a truth the aliens could not comprehend. Humanity did not surrender. Humanity did not calculate only logically, they felt. They adapted. They endured. By midday, the first major counteroffensive was underway. The alien fleet, unprepared for the level of unpredictability, began to falter. Ships collided in the void, caught in redirected energy streams. Tactical patterns collapsed under human improvisation. And, for the first time, humans could see the enemy's hesitation. Mara Quinn soared above the chaos, her fighter weaving through flares and explosions, her comms alive with coordination. "All units," she shouted, "push forward. Every strike counts. Show them what humans are made of." In the orbital command, Ilara watched, heart racing as humans turned the tide. They were small against the vast alien fleet, but size and technology had never been the measure of humanity. Ingenuity, courage, and defiance were. Dr. Leora Chen's devices lit up, redirecting streams of energy back at alien command ships. Sparks erupted, metal groaned, and a shockwave sent several vessels tumbling in the void. Humanity's first strategic victory was not complete annihilation. It was proof. Proof that the galaxy had underestimated the human spirit. Ilara felt a thrill she hadn't experienced in decades, a mixture of fear, hope, and pride. Humanity was alive. Humanity was fighting. Humanity was reminding the universe why it could not be conquered. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly. "They will return stronger, more calculated, but now they know they cannot predict us. They cannot crush us easily, and that will be our edge." Ilara nodded, determination blazing. "Then we keep fighting, not just with weapons, but with every mind, every heart, every spark of defiance. They want war? Fine. We'll show them what humans really are." Across Earth, across cities, deserts, forests, and mountains, humanity celebrated small victories while mourning losses. They were battered, but unbroken, wounded, but unwilling to yield. And somewhere in the void, alien commanders began to grasp an uncomfortable truth. Humans were more than flesh and bone. They were fire, unpredictability, spirit incarnate. And fire, once ignited, is nearly impossible to extinguish. The alien fleet had withdrawn, temporarily, but the victory was neither complete nor without cost. Cities were scarred. Families mourned. Lives had been lost in the first waves of resistance. And yet across every continent, a single truth united humanity. They had fought back. They had endured. They had survived. Captain Ilara Voss floated, above Earth in orbit, the planet below a patchwork of light and shadow. She studied the aftermath of the counteroffensive with a mixture of pride and sorrow. The screens reflected both triumph and tragedy. Pilots lost, ships damaged, communities reduced to rubble, but also innovations that had turned the tide, courage that had defied probability. Ryan Hale joined her at the console, his gray eyes somber. "They've retreated for now, but this is only a pause. They will return, and when they do, they will be more deliberate, more precise. We've won battles, Ilara, not the war." Ilara's jaw tightened. "Then we prepare for the war. Every mind, every hand, every spark of human ingenuity must be ready, because the next wave will test more than our technology. It will test our spirit." On the ground, the cost of defiance was most visible in human faces. Mara Quinn, her flight suit scorched and smeared with soot, stood among the wreckage of the city she had helped defend. Pilots she had trained, friends she had laughed with, now lay in silent tribute to humanity's resilience. Her eyes burned not with despair, but with determination. "We do not falter," she whispered to herself, gripping the controls of her repaired fighter. "We rise, we endure, we fight. That is who we are." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Marco Salvi oversaw the reconstruction of key urban defenses, working alongside volunteers who had once been ordinary citizens. Engineers, students, and even children now moved with purpose and discipline born of necessity. Each structure reinforced, each system restored, was a testament to human will. "They'll come again," Marco said to a young recruit, a boy barely 16. "And when they do, you will be ready. Not because you're strong, not because you're trained, but because you choose not to surrender." In the remote laboratories of Antarctica, Dr. Leora Chen analyzed alien energy patterns captured during the recent battle. Her hands shook from exhaustion, but her mind burned with relentless focus. Every calculation, every experiment was a step toward giving humanity an edge the aliens could never predict. "They underestimate emotion," Leora muttered, eyes fixed on the monitors. "They can calculate force, movement, trajectory, but they cannot calculate courage. They cannot anticipate hope, and hope is stronger than any weapon." Across the globe, humanity's response took on a new rhythm. Supply chains, communication, networks, defenses, they were all adapted, improved, strengthened by the shared understanding that survival required unity. Ordinary people became extraordinary, ordinary moments became heroic, and ordinary decisions became acts of defiance. Ilara convened a council of leaders, pilots, scientists, and volunteers, streaming the session across continents. "The aliens will return," she said, her voice calm yet firm. "And when they do, they will bring destruction if they can. But we will not wait for them. We will meet them with everything we have, our minds, our hearts, our courage. Every sacrifice they ask of us will be met with human spirit, ingenuity, and resilience." Ryan added quietly, "Sacrifice is inevitable. Loss is inevitable. But so is defiance. Every human life lost strengthens the resolve of every survivor. Every scar reminds us of what we fight for." Even in remote corners, humanity's spark blazed. A fisherman in the Arctic rigged a trap that redirected alien surveillance drones into frozen waters. A teacher in Africa organized children to maintain communication lines, ensuring no corner of resistance went dark. A young engineer in Brazil devised a system that allowed urban barricades to shift dynamically, confounding alien tactics. And everywhere, in every heart, the same refrain echoed, "You want war? Fine." Ilara watched as the pieces of Earth's defense began to take shape, a lattice of ingenuity, courage, and human unpredictability that stretched across the planet. The aliens might have been powerful, precise, relentless, but they had underestimated the resilience of humans, the depth of their creativity, and the strength of their spirit. That night, as fires burned and repaired cities, and as stars glimmered, above the oceans, Ilara allowed herself a rare moment of quiet reflection. She thought of the lives lost, the sacrifices made, the courage displayed. Humanity was fragile, humanity was vulnerable, humanity was flawed, but above all, humanity was alive, and alive meant fighting. Somewhere beyond the void, the alien fleet recalculated, sensors scanning the Earth below. But for the first time, uncertainty flickered in their cold logic. They had underestimated not just human technology, but human heart. And in that miscalculation lay a danger they could not predict, because humans did not fight with weapons alone. Humans fought with spirit. Humans fought with defiance, and spirit once ignited could never be extinguished. Ilara looked out over the glowing planet, her voice barely above a whisper. "You want war? Fine. Then we give it everything we are." And across Earth, from the highest towers to the deepest bunkers, humanity answered in unison, not with fear, not with surrender, but with courage, determination, and the unshakable certainty that they would endure. The skies were no longer silent. Across Earth, the hum of engines, the crackle of communications, and the distant thrum of improvised defenses filled the air. Humanity had endured the first assaults, adapted, and transformed its fear into a weapon more dangerous than any missile. Captain Ilara Voss stood once more on the command deck of the orbital station. Below, continents shimmered with the organized chaos of preparation. Civilian ingenuity merged with military strategy, engineers collaborated with soldiers, and ordinary people became architects of resistance. "They're moving faster than before," Ryan Hale reported, his voice tight with anticipation. "Sensors indicate multiple vectors converging simultaneously. They've adapted, but so have we." Ilara's hands rested lightly on the console, eyes tracing the alien formations. Good, she said quietly. Then let's show them what humans are capable of when adaptation meets courage. On Earth, Mara Quinn led her squadron through skies darkened by alien vessels. Pilots dodged streams of energy, weaving through unpredictable flight paths. Every maneuver was calculated yet improvised, a symphony of audacity that no algorithm could predict. Keep moving, Mara shouted. Strike where they least expect it. Remember, their logic cannot follow the human heart. Across the oceans, Dr. Leora Chen oversaw the activation of a new network of energy converters. Their purpose to create artificial distortions in the alien weapons targeting systems. Sparks arced across consoles, monitors flashed with unpredictable readings, and the first signs of human ingenuity took physical form, a trap no alien had calculated. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Marco Salvi directed ground forces in urban labyrinths. Civilians guided by experience and instinct created shifting barricades, misleading enemy probes, and turning city streets into unpredictable battlegrounds. Every street, every alley, every building became an instrument of resistance. As the first volley struck, humanity's counteroffensive ignited. Alien missiles collided with redirected energy streams. Drones fell into traps and malfunctioned under the weight of unpredictable signals. Entire squadrons of alien craft were forced into maneuvers they had not calculated. Ilara watched, her pulse quickening. They underestimated us, she murmured. They thought fear and precision would control the outcome. They forgot that humans adapt, and we endure. Ryan's eyes reflected the unfolding battle. And when humans endure, we innovate. Every failure teaches us, every loss strengthens us. Mara's squadron cut through alien formations with astonishing precision, exploiting weaknesses created by human ingenuity. Her comms crackled with coordination, pilots guiding each other, civilians feeding real-time intelligence, scientists adjusting defenses mid-battle. Every human on Earth was a node in a living, breathing network of resistance. In Antarctica, Leora's devices flared as they redirected alien weaponry, sending streams of energy back into the fleet. Sparks illuminated the icy horizon as alien ships faltered, caught in the web of human creativity. The fleet's calculations faltered under the weight of unpredictability, and for the first time, hesitation appeared in their movements. And that hesitation was all humanity needed. Ilara gave the order. Push forward. Every strike counts. Every human life matters. Make them remember who they are facing. The alien fleet wavered, their formations breaking under human ingenuity. Ships collided, weapons malfunctioned, and chaos, organized by human hands, spread through their lines. Across continents, humanity cheered not in triumph, but in acknowledgement of survival, defiance, and the relentless will to endure. Yet the victory came at a cost. Cities burned, lives were lost, families grieved. Every success carried the shadow of sacrifice. Mara wept silently over the radio for comrades lost. Marco saluted volunteers who would never return home. Leora clutched the console, trembling from exhaustion and relief. But humanity had learned a fundamental truth. The aliens could destroy, but they could not conquer the human spirit. They could strike, but they could not extinguish ingenuity. They could calculate, but they could not predict courage. Ilara's gaze swept across Earth from orbit, her voice resolute. This is only the beginning. They may return stronger, more precise, but so are we. And next time we will be ready. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. We've shown them that humans are unpredictable, courageous, and relentless. That spark, it cannot be destroyed. Across Earth, from icy tundras to burning cities, humans rebuilt, adapted, and prepared. Every act of defiance became a lesson. Every loss became a reminder. Every victory became a spark of hope. And somewhere beyond the stars, the alien fleet recalculated, paused, and hesitated. They had met a species that refused to bow, that refused to surrender, that refused to be predicted. Ilara whispered almost to herself, "You want war? Fine. Then we will give you everything we are." And humanity as one responded, not in fear, not in surrender, but in defiance, ingenuity, and courage. For the first time, the galaxy began to see that humans were not merely creatures of flesh and bone. They were fire incarnate, unpredictable, relentless, and utterly unbreakable. The horizon burned with the light of alien engines, reflecting in oceans, deserts, and forests alike. Earth itself seemed to brace for the next wave, a planet trembling under the weight of inevitability. The alien fleet had returned, larger, faster, and deadlier than ever. They expected surrender. They expected fear. They were wrong. Captain Alara Voss stood on the observation deck of the orbital station, her hands steady on the console, heart beating like a drum. Below, human defenses pulsed with life, ingenuity, and defiance. Every city, every settlement, every community had prepared. Every mind had worked to anticipate the enemy. Every heart had committed to endure. "This is it," Ryan Hale said, standing beside her. "Every choice we've made, every life we've lost, every lesson we've learned, it all leads to this moment." Ilara nodded, her eyes glowing with fierce determination. "Then let them see what it means to face humanity at its best. We fight, not for victory alone, but to show the universe the fire that burns in every human soul." On Earth, Mara Quinn led a squadron of elite pilots, weaving through the alien formations with daring precision. Her fingers flew over controls, her voice clear in the comms. "All units, remember, unpredictability is our greatest weapon. Strike hard, strike smart, and remember why we fight." Across continents, civilians acted as one with soldiers. Engineers rerouted power. Students monitored communication lines. Volunteers lured alien drones into traps. Every person, no matter how small their role, became a part of a greater force, an unpredictable, unstoppable network of resistance. Dr. Leora Chen activated the final sequence of energy converters, her hands trembling but precise. Streams of alien fire redirected into their own fleet illuminated the night sky, as if Earth itself had become a weapon. Every pulse carried human ingenuity, human courage, human defiance. On the ground, Lieutenant Marco Salvi guided his teams through urban labyrinths, deploying improvised defenses that shifted and adapted in real time. Every maneuver, every decision was unpredictable, chaotic to alien sensors, but precise in human hands. And then, the fleet faltered. Not from force alone, not from numbers or precision, but from the immeasurable variable the aliens had never accounted for: humanity. Humans fought not as soldiers alone, not as isolated units, but as a species united by hope, courage, and defiance. Every lost life had strengthened the resolve of the living. Every scar carried the story of endurance. Every heart beat with fire. Ilara spoke into the global comm network, her voice carrying across oceans, deserts, mountains, and cities. "This is Earth. You came expecting surrender. You will find defiance. You will find ingenuity. You will find spirit. We are human. We endure. And we will not fall. You want war? Fine. Then we give you everything we are." Across the planet, millions echoed the words, their voices rising like a chorus of defiance. And in the chaos of the alien fleet, confusion spread. Calculations failed. Ships collided. Weapons malfunctioned. The invaders had met a force they could not predict, a species that refused to be conquered. In orbit, Ilara watched as the final phase unfolded. Human ingenuity, courage, and unity turned the tide decisively. Alien vessels, once imposing and unstoppable, fell one by one, not to brute strength, but to the collective will of a species that refused to yield. Mara Quinn's squadron dove into the final engagement, striking with precision and creativity. Marco's teams dismantled alien ground units with traps that confounded technology. Leora's devices redirected the enemy's fire into cascading failures. And in that moment, humanity's fire burned brighter than alien engines, brighter than destruction, brighter than fear. The last alien ship faltered, suspended in space, its systems overwhelmed by chaos it could not calculate. Ilara exhaled slowly, tears of relief and pride streaming down her face. "We did it," she whispered. "We've shown them who we are." Rian placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice quiet, almost reverent. "Not just shown them, but reminded ourselves. We endure, we adapt, we fight. And we are unstoppable when united." Below, on every continent, humans embraced, cried, and cheered. The cost had been great, but the victory, human ingenuity, courage, and spirit, was unforgettable. For the first time in history, the galaxy had witnessed humanity not as a fragile species, but as a force of nature, brilliant, unpredictable, relentless. Ilara gazed at Earth from orbit, the planet glowing softly beneath her. Her voice, though soft, carried the weight of a species' triumph across the void. You want war? Fine, but we are human, and humans never surrender. The message echoed across the stars, a warning and a promise. Humanity had endured the impossible, survived the unthinkable, and risen stronger, united, and defiant, and somewhere beyond the void, the galaxy began to understand the truth. Humans are not merely survivors. Humans are fire, unpredictable, relentless, unconquerable. The war had ended, for now, but the spirit of humanity would never be silenced. Not by fear, not by force, not by any power in the universe. Earth had spoken, and its message was clear. You want war? Fine,